Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pink Table Talk. I am your host, Loria Reed, and we are here for another great edition of Women's Topics. Of course, men, you can come on in and hear what we have going on, but today we are talking about how to keep your coins in a crisis. That's right, we're talking about money. We're doing it lighthearted. So don't turn us off. Stay right on. We're going to help you with how to keep your money, how to save, how to spend a little bit, and do what you want to do so that you can live like no one else. Okay. So we've got some great experts, but first I want to make sure that you like and share this, and also let us know where you're tuning in from, because we'd love to know that. If you have any topics, you can also put those as well in the comments. So just let us know how you're feeling and what you're liking and any questions that you may have. Okay. So let me go ahead on and introduce our experts for today. We've got some great women here to talk to us. Our first, she is an entertainment attorney, strategic consultant, and manager by trade. She works daily to turn dreams into reality. With a mind for all things creative, commercial, and community, she serves as the executive director of D Free Global Foundation. Would you welcome Miss Tamika Stembridge? Hello, Tamika.
Hello, everyone, and thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited about the Pink Table Talk.
I'm so glad you're here, girl, because we really need to ask you some questions, for real, for real. Okay, and our next guest, she's currently the owner and the operator of Party Out the Box, Inc., her family-owned business and veteran-owned business. She's a veteran as well. Was founded in 2015 in Lithonia, Georgia, and relocated to Conyers, Georgia in 2016. Prior to becoming a business owner, she was worked in corporate America and was a trailblazer in the banking industry. So we're getting her from all sides. So would you welcome Miss Daphne Tate? She is our other person. Daphne.
Hi, ladies. Hi, Loria. Thanks so much for having
me. I'm so glad that you're with us. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, so we're gonna go on and get to it. Look, Tamika, I got a whole bunch of questions, girl.
I'm ready.
Because right now, and I'm going to be very honest, Amazon has been to the house a little too much.
Listen,
and I want to ask you
some
questions. What about you, Daphne? Are you an online ordering person?
Not typically, because I have my own retail establishment. So
yes, ma'am. All right,
I got it.
Okay, but Tamika, as women and as a woman, we love to shop. That's just the way it is. And I've been getting the sales online. And, if you shop at Belk and they ask you for your email, if you shop at any store, they've been sending sales. I'm talking about half off, 60% off, 70% off, 80% off. And I'm thinking to myself, is it good right now? Even though we've got these sales going on, do you advise us, or do you think it's a good idea for us to be spending money during this quarantine, or should we be saving? What is your advice as far as shopping in this season?
So the lawyer in me always says it depends, and it really does.
Okay.
It depends on what your financial situation is. I'm a new mom, and so for me, I have a growing baby, and with the sales happening, I'm like, you know what? Let me stock up for him now, because I know I'm going to be buying as time goes on. And so what I'm thankful for is that I'm still working during this time, which is a good thing. So I've continued to my regular savings and budgeting plan. And then whatever I have left over, what I've allotted myself, I actually have been taking advantage of some sales, because it just makes fiscal sense. Like if I'm going to be buying shoes and shorts come June, it makes sense to get them now off versus waiting. I don't know if he'll ever get to wear them outside. But again, if you're sticking to the script and you have the disposable income and there are things that you need, then go ahead and purchase them. Now, what I don't advise that you do is you start spending your feelings. You're bored at home, you're just scrolling Instagram, ads are popping up, and things that you probably don't need, but things that you didn't even think you thought you needed or wanted are starting to show up, and then you just start spending and swiping, and all your credit card information is there. So I think it's a matter of need, knowing the kind of disposable income you have available, and then taking advantage of it strategically.
Okay, so you didn't say no, but you didn't say yeah either. Right. Is what I got from that. So we can.
I won't say no.
Okay. So we don't have to. I like what you said. You said if you need it, or if you know you will need it and it's on sale, then take advantage of it if you have the income to do so. Is that what I heard you say?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm one of those people that I enjoy going on Amazon and looking at different things. And what I've done, you talked about the emotional spending. So I'll leave it in the cart for like a day and see if that's gone, that little feeling. And most of the time, it's just like I get a little rush
Right.
when I hit that,
I get it.
and the rush is gone the next day. So that's been my little thing for right, because we can't go anywhere. So
Yeah, I think that's a great strategy, is like the wait and see if the feeling passes about it.
right,
But I think one of the things I'll challenge you to do is to see what that initial rush is. Why is it that you feel that energy when you first go into it, to even add it to your cart? Because the reality is, as the sales go on and as time goes on, you go back to that cart and you're like, oh, it's 15 things in here, but they all on sale. Let me just
right,
get it. And so you want to start to challenge yourself on why you feel the itch when you feel the itch for that thing. Is it a need? Is it a want? Am I just wanting to spend money? Am I mad because I'm stuck in the house? And if that's the case, go read a book, go do something else, call a girlfriend, and try to avoid putting it in the cart to begin with, unless it's a need or something maybe you've been wanting for a long term. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, there are some things that I've just wanted in life. And if it shows up 60 or 70% off, going down. It's going down. And so,
I got
again,
you.
keep that wish list on the side, but try to avoid those frivolous purchases that are really just emotionally driven, as opposed to things that you need or really have been wanting long term.
That makes plenty of sense. And I'm going to go over, speaking of which, to Daphne, because I've talked to her about her business, Party Out the Box, which is an awesome, beautiful, it's gorgeous. She's got a real party store, okay? She is the party store. So you
Let me
all
write
go
that
to
down. I
her.
wrote that down for my first birthday party, which is coming in September.
Yes,
It's a
yes.
date.
It is amazing. But I know we've talked about you being shut down for, I don't know since when, and you have a family as well. So what
Absolutely.
measures are you taking right now to ensure that you're able to keep your coins together as well as your business? Tell us how it's been going for you.
Well, for us, as we've spoken about before,
Mhm.
it's been catastrophic for us because we were mandated to close by Rockdale County back in March. So for us, we quickly had to make some tough decisions
Wow.
whether or not to furlough our employees. Graduation historically is our banner season. That's our cash cow for the year, the
Wow.
graduation season. And with the postponement of graduations, it's left us in a predicament. Do you bring in inventory? Do you postpone inventory? Do you
Mm.
look at potentially trying to sell things online? What do you reduce your margin? So it's been a lot of planning and just being able to step back and revisit the things that we really needed to do. We've
Mhm.
postponed a lot of our incoming shipments, just things that we could really
Mhm.
not completely deplete our cash reserves right now, which is
Mhm.
important because when we're able to open, you want to make sure that you've got a meaningful offering for our clients. As women
Right.
shoppers, come in, you want something that's new, you want something that's different. So
Mhm.
we have to make sure that we still keep our offerings fresh and current. And at the same time, as you mentioned, because it balances being a business owner, you want to say that there is a separation, but there's a fine line because one decision will impact the other decision.
That's true.
So we've actually tried to look at ways that we could just control our expenses right now. So
Mhm.
when you mentioned about, I think Macy's know when to send me a coupon. So
Right.
I've intentionally had to say, maybe not this spring, it may be next spring. And we also have a child in college, just trying to balance all of those tangible things together.
Makes sense. And while we're talking about that, I was going to ask Tamika. I know you were just saying, Daphne, that you have to balance a lot of the things out. A lot of companies, Tamika, now are telling us, you can hold off on paying this. We'll give you an extension for a month or 2 months if you're able to do that. Would you advise us to do that, or is that circumstantial, or what is your advice as far as holding off making?
So I think, again, it depends. I think there's a benefit to taking advantage of the offer if it's not going to impact you on the other side of this. So, for example, if you are like me, I have a law degree and an MBA that I'm still paying for. And so I have federal student loans and they're deferred until September 30th with zero interest. And so what I've decided to do in that specific case is to take advantage of the deferment because the government is offering it to everyone and it doesn't affect my public loans, my public student interest, student loan forgiveness program. And so instead of paying my student loans, I'm using that money to pay down other debts and other bills that I have. And so in that case, it made sense. Now, for example, if they're offering deferral of your mortgage or deferral of your credit card payments, you have to think, are they going to still be accruing interest when I'm deferred? Is it going to cost me more later? I mean, I'm paying my mortgage or paying my credit card bill, my car note for a longer period of time. And do I really want to do that? If you're cash strapped right now, then by all means, you want to be looking for opportunities where you can safely alleviate or postpone some of the immediate bills that you have right now or debts primarily. And so again, in that instance, yes, I'm trying to offload as much as possible. But if I have the income coming in, things have not changed, I have a little, some emergency savings put away, I want to try to keep as normal as possible if there is going to be a negative financial implication on the other side of the deferment.
Makes sense.
Does that make
And
sense?
have you had to deal with that? Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, Daphne. Okay, Daphne, I was going to ask you with what Tamika was saying. Have you had to defer anything, or how? I know a lot of barbers, hairstylists, people who are not working right now, who are not essential workers, or those who can't work from home. Are there any programs that they've offered you? How are you dealing with that in the sense of coming from a business standpoint?
Absolutely. I mean, for the business sector, it is definitely a challenge for us because there are lots of components of the CARES Act. There is the Paycheck Protection program. I'm sure everyone has been advised that the money is gone. So as a business owner, you're still looking for avenues that could help you to keep your cash flow intact, as well as help you out with a lot of those expenses. So every day we are actually doing the research for grants. We're looking for opportunities. The other day there was an email from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We were hoping that we could get it on the floor with the grants on that perspective. So for us, we have had to delay some of the payments. Now, I will say our financial institution was very proactive with us. We've been with them since the inception of our company. Our business banker called and, they offered deferment on some of those payments that we had in place. And we did take advantage of those so that we could secure that cash, the cash reserves that we have in place. So absolutely, you're looking for every possible avenue that you can to shave expenses. We've even done an audit on our accounts receivables. We do a lot of business with a lot of event planners, a lot of school systems. So we've proactively gone back and gone through our accounting measures just to make sure that we've not left one stone unturned.
A lot of hidden charges and a lot of hidden fees. Go ahead, Tamika.
No, I was just going to say, one of the things we've noticed, the bigger message is that the money is gone around payroll protection program. But what I will say is that, and we've seen success with this with D-Free and some of the other organizations that Dr. Sories manages, is that going to your smaller, local, regional banks, as well as credit unions, have served businesses significantly better than the bigger banks in this instance. They're taking their time with the loan process. They were diligent about kind of holding the funds back until they understood exactly what was going on. And they actually do still have money available. So if you do have access to a smaller regional bank or a local bank or a credit union, it's worthwhile to reach out to them because they, big banks gave away their money, right, and kind of took care of their bigger clients first. These smaller banks still have money to lend. And so I think it would be for business owners in your best interest to consider looking at some of those smaller regional or local options.
Wow. Would that apply to anyone needing a personal loan? Would you, Tamika, would you advise for us to go through to a smaller bank for a personal loan, or to get a credit card if we're kind of strapped for cash right now? Lines of credit, do you believe that that's okay?
Let me tell you, my credit union called me for something else and was like, don't forget we have loans. And when your banker knows your name, I'm banking with the same since I was in high school. And when they know your name and they know your face and they've seen your banking history, it's more likely that they're going to lend to you. One, because it's an opportunity, of course, for them to make money on the back end. And smaller banks and credit unions tend to rely on their loan and their debt products in order to bring in income. But their rates tend to be better when they lend. They're friendlier when it comes to if you have an emergency and you need a deferral, or you need, hold this check one extra day before
Right.
this clears, just to line things up. It's a lot easier to work with them. And so I think when you think about borrowing, I promise you, my credit union is better by me than any big bank has. And so again, don't ignore the little guys in this instance. They're still there. And their business depends on your business. And so
That's
again, you have
right.
that mutual relationship.
hmm I was just thinking, and we're going to kind of shift gears for a second to talk about you guys personally. But I know
Okay.
there's a scripture that says that God gives us the power to get wealth. And a lot of us always say, if I had $1 million, I'd be straight right now. If I had 100,000, it wouldn't matter if I was in a quarantine, I'd be good. But God gives us ideas, which may be $1 million ideas, $1,000 ideas, hundreds of $1,000 ideas. And I know that you all are working in your passion. So I'll start with you, Daphne, about how did you get started with your business? I know you were working in the banking industry for 20 years, and it takes faith to step out to do something like this because things happen, like a quarantine. So how did you get started? Because there are a lot of women who are listening now saying, I would go on and start my own business, but, so what would you say to them, and how did you get your start?
Well, I mean, I think we all have that yearning initially in terms of the things that we're passionate about. And I had it all the time working in corporate America. It was I want to call it my off the cuff passion. I was part of a women's group, actually in ministry, and it was called Mothers Helping Mothers. And so I became the expert. I mean, literally every mom, they'd call me and say, tell me about a theme. What can I do creative? Can you help me? And so literally these moms would pull up at our doorstep, and I would give them basically a party in a box. And I did that for years. It was a fulfillment for me. And my husband became extremely ill, and we had worked in corporate America forever. And I think at that time, we realized how vulnerable our family was. And we had always said that we wanted to do, start our own business. We were searching possibly when's the right time to do it. Because when you're in corporate America, opportunities always avail themselves. You go, okay, just 2 more years, just 3 more years. And from that injury that he had, we felt that it was the right time for us. And based upon that passion, my husband said, okay, the business is going to be around you. And so that's kind of how we branched out and launched Party Out the Box, hence the name, based upon those box parties that I gave years.
Wow.
So that's how we birthed the vision.
Wow.
That's an amazing story. I didn't know that. I had no clue. That's amazing. Tamika, I know in your bio it talks about how you're able to assist with turning dreams into reality. What is your story as far as what you would say to a woman who's kind of holding on to $1 million idea that she doesn't think is one, or a woman who's thinking about branching out but quite hadn't gone there yet? What's your story, and what would you say to them?
So I'm kind of out of the box to begin with as well. I started in corporate, left my corporate salary on the table, went to a non because I wanted to save the world, and then got invited to go to law school, all within an 8-month period. So I went from a
Wow.
amazing corporate salary to half of that at a nonprofit to 0 at law school. But one of the things that carried me kind of through that entire process, and where I would tell women to start, is to really think about what's at the core of you. And like you said, that gnawing feeling that you have around a passion, or even if it's something you want to explore, it may not be something you're passionate about yet, but you might love knitting or you might love cooking, and it might be something that you're really, really good at. And start small. You know, that $1 million idea may only take a few dollars to get started. And so I think for us, as women, when you tend to be responsible for the family, you're thinking about the future, you're thinking about all these different things. Don't be afraid to put a little piece of that aside for yourself. And now, like, we may not have, everybody says, oh my God, you're gonna have so much time now that you're quarantined. I've been working crazier than ever now that we're sitting at home. But
I can believe
I think it's important to dedicate at least, you know, an hour, a couple hours a week towards that thing and just start nurturing it. Write that thing down. It may not come to fruition, you know, write the vision, make it plain. It may not come to fruition tomorrow, but I promise you, I'm living out dreams that I wrote down 11 years ago. And again, just being able to capture it and say, you know, this is what I think I might want, or this is what I think it might look like, really helps you to make you kind of get it out of your head and then just start doing little things at a time. I think it's really what helps to push you forward.
Wow. Wow. Thank you all for that. I really appreciate both of you for saying that. A quick question I'm going to ask, and then we're going to start kind of wrapping up. But Tamika, I keep hearing about savings, like you're supposed to save 10% of your income. Can you save 20%? You need to save 15. It's just so many different avenues. And I know you work with D-Free. How much of our income when we take home, how much do you advise that we save?
Save as much as practically possible is what I say. And it depends on where you are in your life. You know, if you're just starting out in savings and you can't seem to find room at all in your budget to save anything, start with $5 a check or $20 a check. Whatever you can afford to start saving, do that, but do it consistently until you're able to start saving more. Because what's more important than deciding on a certain percentage to save is creating the habit of savings. And so many of us think that, oh, I can't save $1,000 a month, then what's the use in saving? And we never get started. But I think if you start from where you are and say, you know, if it's $20 a week, every week from the time that you start working, that's thousands of dollars by the time that you're done. And all you did was $20 a week. You gave up McDonald's or Starbucks one time a day for a week, and you have something to start with. And as you build up your savings and, you know, you're paying down debt, more of your income becomes available to save, and you can start to increase that. And so I think it's baby steps from wherever you are. If you're able to save 10%, that's normally what people would recommend. But even then, it's 10% for emergency saving, another 10% for long-term saving. That's 20% of your income. And that may be hard for some people when they're just getting started, but you might start out 2% and 2%. And then you'll get to 3, and then you'll get to 5, and then it'll grow from there. But again, that habit of saving helps you to start seeing your accounts build up over time. And again, it begins the discipline of saving, which is the problem for many of us. It's not that we don't want to do it. It's not that we don't know how to do it. It's that we're not disciplined enough to continue doing it. So start small, hold yourself accountable, put it somewhere that you can't touch it, open an online savings account, because at least it'll take you 3 to 5 days to get the money out, something that you really want to buy. And then by then the sale is over. And so again, get the money out of your way, build the habit of savings, and just create that pattern and that habit of saving over time.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense though, because if you think about it, I know when Starbucks is open and I go and get a coffee or get whatever, that's, I mean, $5, $6. And if you really like all the stuff that comes with it, you spent $7, $8 every day with
don't buy a sandwich. That's 12. Yes.
Man, they'll kill you real fast. So yeah, I completely get it. Because if you think about that, that's probably more than 10% by the time you get done for the 7 days if you do it that way. Exactly. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Tamika, were you about to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay. Daphne, what would you advise if there is a woman out there who has a dream of doing something, but she's looking at her finances and thinking, oh, but the security is in this job. And I feel like if I stay with my job, I should be okay. I don't know if I want to step outside of that to start my own business, even though this is a great idea, what advice would you give to a woman who's thinking the way you once thought?
And that's a great question that you asked, because that was a major struggle for me, because corporate makes it extremely comfortable. When you look at, your 401k and your profit sharing and those things of that nature, it makes it definitely a walk of faith. One of the things that I would recommend is, as you mentioned, if you have that passion, if you have that vision, is writing it down. My husband and I mentioned before we were even married, we talked about one day having our own business. We didn't realize that it would be birthed out of a need or a reality check. But I would just say, partner with someone. If you know of another woman that owns a business that would like to do something similar, it's just have that conversation. I have women all the time that will come in and just say, tell me how you got started. Tell me the steps that I need to take. I tell folks, write it down and pursue it. Just find that passion, make it little steps. If you want to launch a t-shirt business, it may be something as simple as that. Start cataloging your designs because it doesn't happen overnight. What I've found is every skill that I've had up until this point, I've needed for my current business. So grow, learn something every day, find someone who you can shadow or even mentor you, and do your homework, because it is going to take some of that financial steps as well. So I'd say is just, get started and enjoy the journey.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is an awesome tip. I have a friend of mine. I'm going to blast her out, Tamika Alexander. She has an awesome bakery that she does. She does a lot of things from home, and she hadn't branched out yet all the way, but I'm always kind of pushing her to do that. And also for women, and I'd just like to say this on the side of what Daphne said, thank you for that. Some women don't tell other women what they did to get to where they are. And that's a big pet peeve of mine. When you have some information, share it. I mean, it's enough out here for everybody.
Listen,
no matter, you can have all the business in whatever you're doing. So it's okay to tell and help each other out, especially as sisters. We got to do that. We have to help each other out with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When you said shadow, I thought about that. And Tamika, what would you say to someone who's thinking about starting a business or is in that phase of dream to reality? What would be your advice to a woman, as well as what Daphne said?
So once you write it down and you start doing some research and you look for help, take a next step. Make it tangible for you. So if it's a t-shirt business, order a sample and put it up for sale. If it's, writing or mentoring or coaching, start a blog to start getting it out there. One of the things that I think holds us back so much is that we wait for it to be perfect before we put it out there. And if you're waiting for perfection, you'll be waiting for a very, 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 very long time. And one thing I believe is that good ideas are looking for a place to land. And I see this happen a lot of times. We'll say, oh, I thought about that 5 years ago. Well, you didn't take any action on it. And that idea bounced on to somebody else. And it continues to live until it can be birthed. And so the big idea that you have today, be comfortable knowing that it will go somewhere else if you don't take action on it. And so at some point you have to get started. And when it comes to making the decision between entrepreneurship and your full-time job, you don't have to give up one horse to have the other. It's best in your best interest to kind of keep both things running in parallel until the other one outweighs, until entrepreneurship potentially outweighs your full-time career. And so you don't have to give up all of the comfort in order to go out and pursue your passion. In fact, take comfort in the fact that you do have, kind of make the corporate job your backup, as you go out and pursue your passion, and just continue to use that to invest in what you're trying to do. I applaud people that are risk takers. I'm a risk taker myself. Would I tell another person to quit their corporate job and go to a nonprofit and then go to law school? Probably not, because I know the bumps and the bruises that went along with that. But at the same time, had I not been willing to take some of those steps, I wouldn't be where I am today. Right. So a lot of it is faith. All of it is faith, in fact. but you have to have calculated faith. Faith and work at the same time will get you where you need to go.
Amen. Really quickly, give me from each one of you one piece of advice financially that you would give a sister that's listening right now. One piece of financial advice. What would you say?
Ooh, it would be, okay, I got it. Ground yourself, extend yourself some grace, but then get into the numbers. If you can do all three of those things, so grounding yourself means it's not emotional. Extending yourself some grace and gratitude, meaning you're going to ask for grace if you need it from your bill collector, and extend grace to other people that may owe you, and then dig really deep into your numbers. If you can do that, and kind of really get a real clear picture of where you are financially, you'll make much better decisions financially if you can do those three things. Get clear-headed, be gracious to yourself, and get into your numbers.
I love that. Thank you, Tamika. Daphne, what about you? One piece of advice.
I would definitely say, and very similar to echo what Tamika said, clearly you need to understand exactly and evaluate where you are today. You've got to have a place to start, and then move from there. Is just understanding where you are, how you can actually take it to the next level. You need to make sure that you manage, and inspect. Quite often, I think financially, we don't always pay attention to those little missteps, but you've got to recover, and understand that you can always change the plan.
I love that. I love that. You guys have just given some great advice. Ladies, if you're watching and you've got a friend who's on the fence or someone who needed some financial advice, please share this with them. Make sure that you like this, love this, and that you follow these two women. We've got Tamika Stembridge, and all of her information has been shown, as well as Daphne with Party Out of the Box. We are so glad that you guys took your time out to talk to us today, and we would love to have you back. So please come back and visit with us on the Pink Table Talk. I loved you guys so much. I could sit here all day and listen to y'all, literally.
Right. Thank you for having us. This was awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
All right, ladies. Well, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week with great topics for women on the Pink Table Talk. I'm your host, Laria Reed. We'll see